And the question for today is, if I live in Chutz La'aretz in America and I travel to Israel for Yom Tov. In America, we celebrate 2 days Yom Tov. In Israel, 1 day Yom Tov.
So what do I do?
What do I do when I'm in Israel? Do I drive cars and go to coffee shops like all my friends? Or since I'm an American, do I have to stay home by myself and not drive a car, not put lights on, pray Yom Tov Tefillah, or find other Americans and have minyan? Does it go by where I come from, or does it go where I am right now? That's the halakha. So the question is, specifically for a young man, that's the person who asked the questions, for a young yeshiva boy. Bahur Ravak, a single boy, he goes to Israel. Let's say he's going to yeshiva to learn. And his plan is to come back home to his parents, let's say in America. Does he have to keep the second day Yom Tov with the prayers of Yom Tov and Kiddush and all the mitzvot and the halachot of Yom Tov, Kedin b'nei chutz la'aretz, like as if he was in America? Or dai lo lenhog yom echad bilbad kedin toshvei Eretz Israel? Or since he's in Israel, does he just act like an Israeli? 1 day Yom Tov, second day travel. Teshuvah answer. The Masechet Betzah, Gemara Betzah, it says, Mevu'ad she'af al pi shebizman hazeh en anu mekadishim et hachodesh al pi ha'ri'iyah el al pi cheshbon haluach ובזה גם בני חוץ לארץ בקיאים בקביעות החודשים כמו בני ארץ ישראל. בכל מקום חייבים בני חוץ לארץ להמשיך לנהוג שני ימים טובים של גלויות על כל הכרוך בהם ולהיזהר במנהג אבותיהם, גזירה שמא ישתכח מהם סוד העיבוד ויקבעו המועד שלא בזמנו ויבואו להיקשר באכילת חמץ בפסח. In English, what this means is, why do we have 2 days Yom Tov in Chutz La'aretz? Because it was a safek. In the olden days, when they used to make Rosh Chodesh only on the witnesses' testimony, not about a calendar. The witnesses had to testify. So that means 2 guys had to come to Bet Din and say, it's the new month. And Bet Din has to agree. The question is, by the time they spread the word that it's a new month, how long did it take to reach Chutz La'aretz? If you're living all the way in America, in those days, you'd have to take a boat. You wouldn't find out till next year that it was Rosh Chodesh last year. Mm-hmm. So since it's a safek, since we were in doubt, we added a second day Yom Tov just in case. If you don't do that, maybe you would be eating Hametz on Pesach if you're celebrating the wrong day. These days, we go by the calendar. Hillel HaZaken, he made our calendar as we know it. The calendar is set. The calendar is one of the most genius inventions. The Jewish calendar is one of the most genius inventions of all time. Unbelievable how we have a calendar, basically forever calendar, with all the times exactly to the minute. And so it says in Gemara, even though we have a calendar these days, still in Chutz La'aretz, we have to stay with our minhag. The minhag was to have 2 days Yom Tov, and so maybe one day we'll forget the calendar. Maybe we'll forget how to take it from 2030 to 2040. You have these books, 100-year calendar. There's like 1850 to 1950. People didn't think the Mashiach would be here by then. Maybe we're going to forget how to do it, and so therefore we have to keep the minhag. In Chutz La'aretz, 2 days Yom Tov.
But he's referring to Chutz La'aretz while in Chutz La'aretz.
In Chutz La'aretz.
So he's still not in the.
We're not answering the question. Yeah. No. He's explaining why us right now in 2023 in America we keep 2 days, because that was what we always did in Chutz La'aretz, so we keep it. Now, Bishut Hacham Sevi, in the writings of Hacham Sevi, who was a born Ashkenazi, but he's somehow maybe semi-converted to Sephardi. He moved to Amsterdam. Such a thing happens. Hacham Sevi writes, according to this, that the only reason we do it these days in America, 2 days Yom Tov, is to remember what we used to do and keep the minhag. If you're not in America, you don't have to keep the minhag anymore. The minhag is for people outside of Israel. People inside of Israel, they have no minhag to keep 2 days. They don't have to keep you 2 days. So only when you're in America, you should have to keep it. But if you leave America, you shouldn't have to keep it. So this is his words. The Fizeh, Hacham Sevi writes, Ha'olim mechutz la'aretz le'eretz Yisrael, people who travel to Israel, even though they're not moving to Israel, they're just visiting, and they know they're coming back to America. די להם לעשות יום טוב אחד, כל ימי שהותם בארץ ישראל. It's enough for them to keep only one day of holiday, says Hakam Sevi, in Israel, until they return. And when they get back, they go back for 2 days. ואפילו לעניין עשיית מלאכה. They could even drive a car. They could even light a fire. It doesn't matter on the second day, Yom Tov, in Israel. ואין זה בכלל מה ששנינו, שנותנים עליו חומרי מקום שיצא משם, מכל שכן לעניין תפילה וקידוש ברכת המזון, שעליהם לנהוג כבני ארץ ישראל. For sure, for tefillah, for ברכת המזון, they shouldn't do anything for Yom Tov on the second day. They should be like a regular Israeli, says Hakam Sevi. ולא גזרו חכמים על בני חוץ לארץ לעשות שני ימים טובים של גלויות, אלא כשהם עדיין דרים במקומן. The whole gezerah, the whole decree that we keep 2 days is only if you're in America. אבל כשעלו לארץ ישראל, but if you went to Israel, אסור להם להוסיף. Not only are you allowed to do work on the second day, it's asur for you to make the second day Yom Tov in Israel, Yom Tov Yachad, Mishum, Bal Tosif. Because it says in the Torah, don't add to the Torah. So Hakam Sevi is very strong on this, that if you go to Israel, you do 1 day Yom Tov only. Wow. Okay. Ulam, however, in the Shut Geonim Mizrach Ma'arav, which is another sefer, Mevu'ar, he says, Shegam b'nei chutz la'aretz she'alu le'eretz Yisrael v'da'atam lahazor toch yud bet chodesh chayavim l'shmor shnei yamim tovim shel galuyot. He says no. He says if someone plans on coming back to America within 12 months, as long as you plan on returning within a year, it's not like you're in Israel. It's like your heart is still where you came from, and you should be like an American. He argues on the Hakam Sevi.
Who is this now?
This is the Sefer Geonim Mizrach Ma'arav. And who agrees with him? Maran Abel Yosef Cairo, Shulchan Aruch, in his Shut Avkat Rochel. And he says as follows: Maran Shulchan Aruch, he wrote a Sefer Avkat Rochel, and he writes, he testifies, he writes about his youth. Begedolo, when he grew up, Shepashata Minhag V'Mekedem, that the Minhag, when he grew up, until he grew up for a long time, B'fnei Geonei Olam, before all the rabbis, if anyone came from outside of Israel and we know they're going back home, they do 2 days Yom Tov, says Maran Shulchan Aruch, Bet Yosef. They act 100% like they're in America while they're in Israel. Not only that, says Shulchan Aruch, not the Shulchan Aruch, the author of the Shulchan Aruch. He saw a lot of minyanim. They made minyan. They publicly made second day Yom Tov prayers in Israel. Not quietly, publicly. They announced in the shul, anyone who's from America, come, we're going to make second day Yom Tov prayers. And Shulchan Aruch, Maran Shulchan Aruch writes, Ve'en potzeh peh. No one opened their mouth to say they're doing the wrong thing, which means this is a kosher custom. And so this is testimony from Maran Bet Yosef. This would be the halakha according to him, that if you know you're coming back within 12 months, you're not an Israeli, you're an American. Who agrees with this? Hagaon HaMusmach Rabbi Yishaya Pinto and Halachot Ketanot in the name of the Geonei Yerushalayim, and the Maran Ahida also agrees with this. So a lot of heavy hitters say, like this halakha, if you're coming back within 12 months, you're still an American, you keep the second day, even publicly. Okay. However, Matzano Rabbi Yehuda Michal Toksinski, he writes, Shekatav she'agaon Rabbi Shmuel Salant haya hoshesh lesevrat Hakam Sevi. Rabbi Shmuel Salant always was afraid maybe Hakam Sevi is right, and you only have to keep 1 day. He said, Rabbi Salant said, you should do strict on both sides. You can't work, but you also can't make minyan, and you don't make kiddush. You just have to refrain, because we're not sure who's right. So don't do anything.
They took the middle.
He took the stringencies of both sides,
yes,
which is really difficult. Tefillah was, I think, I don't know which tefillah was. I would assume it was a regular tefillah. You can't make kiddush because safek berachot lehakia, right? You can't do, what do you do? You can't read Sefer Torah for the Hag. But you can't also work or live
many
fires.
times you don't live in minyan. It's not like you walk around and there are 10 people from America in your town, in your city,
Yeah.
or from overseas. You don't have a minyan. You go to shul, everybody's in Chol Hamoed. What you going to do?
Right. So if you follow this halakha that when you go to Israel, you have to celebrate the second day, then you have to privately make sure you don't put tefillin on in shul, obviously. It's Yom Tov.
Yeah.
So either you find the minyan or you pray at home.
So now they outweigh the importance of being nitpalel b'minyan.
So hold on. Let me, if I don't get this, remind me at the end. I'll say what he says about that. Okay. Ulam. In lanu ela dever rishonim shemin chutz la'aretz hayolim e'ezov v'nadav hazod. We only have with us Maran Shulchan Aruch and the Hida, who say that if you are coming back home within 12 months, you're not considered a resident of Israel, and you have to celebrate the second day. Ulam kol ze be'adam nasui. This whole halakha that we said applies to a married man or a married woman, a person with a family. She'ala le'eretz Yisrael ibikud, they go to visit Israel. V'da'ato lahazor el yiro v'el sha'ar mikomo, and they know they're coming back home to their family. So there's something back here that's going to bring them back home. Then we can say they're not Israeli citizens. They're not going to leave a whole family behind. The man's not going to leave his wife behind and say, you know what, I'm not going back to America.
But Ravak, even if he
That's the
plans to
question.
come back,
That's
he
the
may
question.
end up not coming.
So this whole halakha for a married person is sealed, finished. If you're married and you have a family and you live out in Argentina, you live in Mexico, you live in Panama, you live in America, you live in anywhere, you are not Israeli. You're going back home to your spouse. And so, in the second day Yom Tov in Israel, you have to celebrate the second day. However, for a single person who has no ties, there's nothing holding him down. He doesn't have the yoke of a family on him. Katav Maran going to be Moshe Galanti. Moshe Galanti writes, "Shekibel min avotav geonei Yerushalayim." All the great rabbis of Yerushalayim said, "She'eno oseh ela Yom Tov echad bilbad ben la'akel ben la'achmid." He only keeps one day. He's considered a resident of Israel. If a single person is in Israel, he's a resident of Israel. And this is the custom he writes. What's the reason? Because maybe maybe he's going to meet someone wonderful in Israel. Is married over there in Israel. Maybe he'll end up there. Same thing for a girl. Sometimes you have girls that go to seminary, they never come back. They met a guy, dad, not coming back home. I got a guy here. You want to visit him? You come here. Yeah. And so a single person that has no ties, we're afraid maybe they're going to end up here. Since it's even a doubt, they're considered Israeli. Okay. Rabbi Shlomo El-Ghazi, Rabbi Shmuel Garmezian, and Rabbi Avraham Amigu, they said all agreed to this concept of a single person is considered Israeli. Beosif od tam, Shagan Hagaon HaMusmach Rabbi Eliezer bar Orcha Ha'id, he writes, Sheken hayu nuagim lehorot geonei Rabbanei Sefat. The rabbis of Sefat, they said the same thing. Shechol bahur ravak ha'oleh le'eretz Israel, any single person who goes, af al pi shedato lahazor, even though he's planning on going back home, yesh lo lenhog Yom Tov echad bilbad. He only celebrates one day Yom Tov, mipnei she'efshar, she'imatzeh lo ezer kenedo, maybe he finds a spouse, ve'yikba didato be'eretz Israel, and he will officially become Israeli citizen, adkan. Okay. Ve'omnam, however, in the Sefer Ginat V'Radim, he brings a responsa from the Rabbanei Yerushalayim Shebedoro, the rabbis of Yerushalayim, who said, "Shepasku lehefak," they said the opposite. She'en hevdel bezeh ben na'ar lezaken or ben avak lenasui. They said no, there's no difference between single, married, doesn't matter. Ulam kevar ha'erich le'ashir od ebanav b'tum ta'am v'adaat manan ha'chida. But the Hida, when he saw this, that they wrote, no, there's no difference between a single and a married. Everyone is considered an American citizen, not an Israeli citizen. So that the Maran Hida writes, kind of strong words, Maran Hida writes, Sherabanim elu, these rabbis who said there's no difference between single and married, b'mehilat chokhmat kivod toratam, with
because of their kivod.
No, that's a way of saying, I'm asking you forgiveness before I smash you over the head.
Yeah.
with forgiveness, lo yad'u kust divrei emet. Kusta is emet, and we say it in Berich Shemet. Du elahad dikshot, ve'elatek dikshot. Kishot means emet, truth. Yeah, they don't know the truth, says the Hidah. They don't know what they're talking about. Shemenhag rabbanei v'geonei Eretz Israel, the custom of all the great rabbis of Israel. Dod v'chachamav, every generation's wise people. Mishanin kadmonot, from way back in time. To teach a halakha, shechol bachur rahbak ha'oleh le'eretz Israel, or say Yom Tov echad b'bad. If you're single, you do one day Yom Tov. Ben la'akel, ben la'hamir. Ve'osif on al-Hidah, the Hidah adds, shenoda lo bebirur gamur. He knows 100%. Shegam hagona b'Avraham Yitzhaki, who is the Av Beitin in Hebron, agrees. Ve'yanohekem le'arot alechal ma'aseh. V'chen horu kol rabbanei Eretz Israel abei macharav. All the rabbis of Israel agreed. They have good reason for what they're saying, that there is a difference between single and married. Since the whole reason we celebrate the second day is because of a safek in Chutz La'aretz, and we really have a calendar these days. We really do. But they only told us, guys, don't stop celebrating the second day Yom Tov. Don't change what your fathers did. For any reason whatsoever to break the safek, maybe one reason, they're going to get married, they're going to stay here, they're not going to go back. They only do one day Yom Tov if they're single. Adkan. Who agrees with this? The Rishon LeZion, the chief rabbi, Rabbi Miyuhas Bechar Shmuel, and the Rishon LeZion, Yitza Beracha, and Samad de Hayeh, and the Kol Eliyahu, and the Shalmei Tzibur, and the Ruach Hayim Palaji with the Kaf Hayim. However, he adds one last thing at the end. And so we have halakha l'maaseh, right? If someone is married, then, and they're going to return back home within 12 months, and they're married, they celebrate the second day in Yom Tov. They belong where their home is. If someone is single, they belong in Israel. However, one last thing he says, Umi kol makom. However, bahur ravak, a single bahur, she'ala le'eretz Yisrael al menat sheyachazor lechutzlaretz etzel horav. He's going there to learn, and he's going to come back home. Ve'omed befirush, and he says explicitly with his mouth, he says, even if I find the best girl in the world, I'm not leaving my parents. I'm going back home. I don't care if she's the princess. We're living in Israel, or I'm not. We're living in Chutz La'aretz back in America, or I'm not marrying her. He's saying, Rabbi, I'm telling you, there is no shot I'm staying in Israel. Then he is showing that he has roots back here, and he would have to keep 2 days Yom Tov as well. I don't know about longer than 12 months. That's a good question.
What is this one?
What if it's longer? What if he's going to say 5 years? I don't know. That's what I had the same question as you. And I tried to do research on the fly, but I ran out of time. But let's just say 12 months to be easy. Because most guys come back, Ben Azman, and for Yeshiva, they come back, and then they go back, and they come back.
Well, so it's interesting that none of them seem to be addressing, or at least in depth, the concept of the place you address. Because we do it because the place, because we're supposedly not sure. Yeah, today we have a calendar, but we keep mitzvot avot.
Yeah. Minhag avotehem.
Okay, so milechatchila, the whole thing is about the location, not about the man.
Yes.
In other words, you would think, if I'm in this location, I do it, whether you're Ravak, lo Ravak. Now I'm here, this is mitzvat anshe makom. Now I'm here.
Right, but the thing is, obviously, you take your home place with you. What, right, where when you go somewhere, you don't, if I go to Miami, I'm going to Miami tonight for business. I'm not a citizen of Florida. I'm still a Californian. Something really big has to make you your driver's license.
I know, but when it comes to Zmanim, at 9 p.m. Miami time, because you're at 9 p.m. You're not at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And if people turn off the light at 9 p.m., your light
Because
is
that's
off.
scientific. Zman is scientific. When the sun rises, when the sun sets, I can't fight that.
Oh, it's okay, but
But
that's
my
also
minhag,
scientific.
my minhag.
Look, I mean, obviously that's what they say. I'm just saying it's interesting that they don't look at the
Listen, if I go to an Ashkenaz community where there's no Sephardi shul, and I go through for business for 4 days, or sometimes I go to crazy places and there's only Chabad, I'm not Chabad. I'm not going to start doing Chabad customs.
it's customs.
Unless I move there.
Customs are different. Here you have a clear thing, time. The whole thing of adding another day is because in the Gola, we're not sure
So the
about
question is, where do you belong? That's the question. Did you remove your citizenship from America? That's the question. But hold on. Maybe the other halachot I'll read you in a second will make you feel better. Hold on. There's 2 last lines. And therefore he says, if someone says specifically, explicitly, I am coming back from Israel, nothing's making me stay there, then they're like a married person, basically. They're married to their parents. Mother's Day. They don't want to leave their mother. And therefore, they are considered American, and they do celebrate the second day Yom Tov. Hold on. And this is the final halakha that he finishes off. Ulam listam bahur al-vak shalal. They said, but a regular guy who doesn't have this conversation and say specifically what his plans are, a regular bahur, a regular girl or boy who goes to Israel, even though their parents are still back home, and they do plan on coming back home, but they don't say it with their mouths. They are officially Israeli citizens. And so let's wrap up this halakha. Again, if someone is from America or a different country outside of Israel, and they're married, and they go visit Israel for the holidays, they are not Israeli. They are American. And so they will have to celebrate 2 days Yom Tov, even though the rest of the Israelis are traveling and working in Tefillin, you can't do it. If someone is single,
they don't do Tefillin.
Second day Yom Tov, Shavuot. So it's a regular day for them. Yeah, right? If someone is single, and then they are considered part of Israeli community. Maybe they'll find someone there, they'll marry someone, they'll never come back. If someone says specifically, Rabbi, I am not living in Israel, no shot. I don't care who I find, I'm going back to my parents. Then they're telling you they have roots, they're like a married person. Hold on, a couple of halachot. So that's, yeah. Where? That's a great question. So during the year, you only could be in one place. Hey, Rabbi, where do you live during the year? You're here, but hold on. This is an interesting halakha. And so this is the end of the Yechave daat halakha. But I just want to read 2 halachot from Chacham Ovadiah's other sefer, Hazon Ovadiah, on the topic. Ready, Moshe? Okay, so Chacham Ovadiah says over here, I think this is what you're kind of asking. So I'm going to read you Chacham Ovadiah's words. Ben chutz la'aretz, sheyesh lo dira kivu'a be'eretz Yisrael. Someone from America, let's say, who has a house. They have 2 houses. They have one in Israel. V'nahag liot tamid bechol shelosh ha'regalim b'dirato shebe'eretz Yisrael. Every holiday they go to Israel. That's why they have the second house. Every holiday they go to Israel. That's their thing. During the year they're here. During the holidays they're there. Most of the year most of the year they're in America. For the holidays they go there. Says when they go there for the holidays, since for them they always go for the holidays, they don't keep the second day Yom Tov. They are like this resident of Israel because that's their pattern of their lifestyle. In every holidays, I am in my house in Israel. Then for that time, you're considered Israeli. It's amazing how the from Chacham Ovadiah.
Actually, from all of it,
this should make you feel better.
Sense.
Yes,
it makes sense based on the previous halakha.
Yeah. Since the only difference halakhically of where you live is regarding the 3 holidays. There's no halakhic difference. Well, Purim, I guess you could say differently also. But the main difference halakhically is of where you live is, do you celebrate second day Yom Tov? And for all those 3 occurrences, you're always in Israel. Then you only celebrate one day. And so I think that would answer your question. If someone has 2 houses and dual citizenship, the question is, Where do you go for the holidays?
No,
Where do you
dual
go?
houses. It's not dual citizenship.
It's the same. I mean,
It's different.
No, it's
here,
less,
here
yeah.
clearly he has a
right. So
minhag.
do you have a house in Israel?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a house in Israel.
What does somebody like me, who was born and raised in Israel, still has his
Okay, let's use
citizenship?
you. Do you have a house in
And there is married, of course, Baruch
Yeah.
Hashem. But there's always a possibility that it
No,
will go back.
No, it's a possibility is not on the list. Unless you want to divulge the whole shul, you have a house in Israel. We would love to know that. But you're here for most of the
We
holidays.
have a house.
Okay. And he's
we
not
don't
there.
stay there, but we don't stay
Right, so
there.
it's empty. So it's empty. No, you're an American, my friend. Let's do another one. There was one more halakha. There's one more halakha. I didn't do it. All right, let's wrap it up. I think that's good. Yalla.
What
Let's do the
about
next one.
the date for Shiva Ruach,
That's a good
ברך את
question.
השנה וברכנו ברכת
I'm very happy Rabbi Adara walked in because I'm going to pass that to him.
Now you really have a tough one.
That's the hard question. Okay.